Ladies and gentlemen, you're not going to believe this. We've got breaking news. Okay, so we've got a crazy story, a crazy eviction to tell you about this week. Perhaps you remember about a month ago we had some tenants that were complaining about a noise complaint and sort of a domestic dispute from the tenants upstairs. Perhaps you remember Amanda made this phone call.
One of your neighbors had submitted a complaint. What do you think that might be?
Possibly some arguing.
Would you like to elaborate on arguing?
Rest assured that we won't have to have this conversation again.
And if that's it and it ends there, then we're going to call it a day. And if it so happens to be an ongoing problem, then we're going to have a different conversation.
Okay, so that was about a month ago. Since then, there's been an explosion of drama. Before I get into exactly what happened, I just want to say that we did have to legally evict this tenant. Now, I'm sure that some of you guys have dealt with evictions in the past, but I'm also sure some of you guys haven't. So just, don't be scared off by this story. It's bound to happen sooner or later. We don't deal with evictions a whole lot, but when we do, we're extremely professional and we don't waste any time. We get on it right away. And we're going to show you exactly how did we evict this problem tenant in less than 1 week.
I was a little bit skeptical on this guy's behavior. I wasn't sure if he was going to be able to live peacefully amongst his neighbors like he agreed, and sure enough, here we are a couple weeks later and complaint number 2 comes rolling in. I believe he called his domestic dispute a hiccup and that he assured me it wasn't going to happen again. And now the second complaint is just, it's so extreme. I've never dealt with anything like this before.
It's gotten worse.
All right, some serious shit's going down. I just got a phone call from one of my really good tenants, and apparently there was a crazy domestic disturbance at the property last night. Police were called.
Open it now! Shut up!
Mind if we check up on Liz?
Somebody went to jail, and somebody's getting kicked out of my house.
At the tone, please record your message.
Hey there, it's Amanda, your landlord calling, and I'm pretty sure you know the reason why I'm calling you today. It's really important that you phone me back as soon as possible. I need to call Marty and let him know what's going on.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey, what's up?
You're not gonna like this. That same tenant that just had the noise complaint.
At 206?
Yeah, so the tenant at 206 needs to be evicted, like ASAP. The basement tenants called me this morning. The tenants upstairs last night got into a serious domestic fight. And it was at like 2:30 in the morning. They started screaming and sounds of smashing things. She grabbed a knife and allegedly cut his arm. So the tenants in the basement were like freaking out and they called the police. They arrested this girl who, she's not on our lease, she's his guest. Well,
fuck's sakes. Like,
I have, though, seriously.
What is wrong with this guy? He can't fucking live? This guy doesn't know how to live with anybody?
So that chick is in jail. Our tenant is wounded. The tenants in the basement are absolutely terrified.
This guy's a friggin' lunatic. He's been with us 3 months and we've had 2 complaints about him, one involving the police. I can't sit here and talk about this all day.
Okay, so
paranoid.
I know.
I'm nuts. Now I'm pissed off. I'm trying to get shit done on the job.
Thanks for calming me down. I appreciate it.
So, do I have to go there tonight or what?
Where you going?
Going in.
No, wait. Wait.
What are you talking about? We got probable cause.
You're not going to the property. You're fired up and you're pissed off.
Get the fuck off me!
All right, I'm sorry.
I sent him an email as well saying that you need to call me back.
You can tell him he's getting the fuck out.
Well, obviously, but I'm going to persuade him to leave by the end of the week.
What are you gonna do? Offer him his money?
Yeah. So I'm going to offer him to leave by the end of the week and I'll give him his money back.
You're sure you want to go over there without me?
Well, I'll evaluate on the call. What I don't need is you going over there raising your voice.
He better not have wrecked my tile work.
Well, apparently there was some smashing going on, so I'm gonna have a look at the property as well.
No! Just throw it all away, you know? No!
He's not getting his deposit back if he wrecked anything. So you make sure that you take a look around when you go over there.
Yeah.
And you don't give him anything back until I've been there as well.
I'm not giving him a penny back until he actually leaves my property.
I was really hoping this was going to be a good phone call, Amanda.
Well, I would say I'm sorry, but I didn't do anything wrong. I feel sorry for you that you have to deal with me dealing with the situation. Like, I'm the one that's dealing with it. If I can only get you under control.
I don't need supervision. I'm at work. I'm fine.
I love you.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Marty gets all heated. He's a very passionate person, so I go in and, you know, play the calming effect and try and speak to people very respectfully with the intention of trying to persuade them. I want him to get out, and I don't need any more fighting. I don't need any more drama, any more bullshit. I want him to sign my piece of paper, and I'm going to peacefully evict him within a matter of days. Okay, today has been crazy. My tenant called me back while I was at work, and I spoke to him and I let him know the landlord-tenant relationship is over and I'm evicting your ass. So I told him that I want him out by the end of the month, and that's a couple days from now. He started to try and negotiate and beg and plead and be all apologetic, and I said, no way, that's not happening. People in the basement are frightened and I'm pissed off. You've got 3 days, and if you leave in 3 days, I'm gonna pay you back your last month's rent. Otherwise, you only have like 14 days for me to still legally evict you. He said he was gonna try and figure out if he can make that happen, and he was going to call me back. I got a voicemail from him while I was driving home from work, so I'm going to pick that up and see what he has to say for himself.
Hi, Amanda. Getting back to you. I will be able to be out for the 31st, so that's fine. I just wanted to know what time you wanted to buy this evening so I could be there. If you could give me a call back or send me a text, that's fine.
Okay, this is a good thing. So I now have a saved voicemail from this tenant agreeing to leave by the end of the month. Next steps are I'm going to actually go to the property, I'm going to inspect for damage, and I'm going to bring with me a legal notification that agrees that the landlord and tenant are going to end the relationship, and make sure that he signs on that tonight. A couple things that really stand out that new investors should really take note of. First of all, if a tenant complains to you, you should take it seriously. Sometimes people are whining, but if I hadn't taken my basement tenants seriously, who knows the situation that we would be in? It would be even worse than what we dealt with. Second is to document your interactions with your tenants. Again, I was able to move quickly and move forward with this legal eviction because I already started the process during the first complaint. I got a hold of the offender within a couple of hours. I got him to agree to eviction a couple hours later. I mean, this is all in the same day. And that night, I had him actually sign off agreeing to move out of my property within 3 days. So I completely resolved the situation on the same day, and he agreed to move out in 3 days instead of 15.
Okay, so now the other thing is, why were we able to get this guy out so quickly? Because normally you need to have 30 to 60 days. Anytime we need to evict someone, we've never gone to the landlord-tenant board and had to force an eviction. We always get them to agree to leave.
What I always start with is communication and try and negotiate with my tenants first. So I opened up my conversation with him by saying, I already issued you an eviction warning a few weeks ago, and because now I have a second warning within a 6-month period, our tenancy is over. There's no opportunity to salvage this relationship. So I said to him, listen, if you leave within 3 days, because it was 3 days to the end of the month, then after you're gone, I'm going to pay you back your last month's rent. So he was incentivized to agree to end his own tenancy. If I have to go through the landlord-tenant board, you're going to have to pay for my filing fee. You're still going to have to pay me rent in 4 days. Why don't we make things simple, and I pay you back your last month's rent in 3 days, and you can just move on.
So the point is, you can usually get a problem tenant out just by a little bit of reasonable negotiation. Not always. Sometimes you're going to have a tenant that their career is to squat in your apartment.
Yikes.
Now, we've never had that situation. We've never encountered that. It's a lot more favorable to your bank account to give somebody their last month's rent back and have them out in a matter of days, rather than going through a long drawn out process and having them possibly damage your apartment and, you know, not pay any rent for a couple months and, you know, just drag it on. Who wants to deal with that? This guy is going to be gone in a couple days, and we should be able to have the place filled immediately.
Marty's going over to the house in a couple days to make sure that he actually leaves the property and takes all his crap with him, and that he actually hasn't damaged the house. If that's the case, then he's going to change the locks, and we're going to pay him back his last month's rent, and I will have the property cleaned and refilled in no time. That was cute how he asked for it up front.
Oh yeah. We're going to give you money back while you
For
still
signing a piece of paper?
while you still live in our property.
No, I'm not.
Right. I hope you guys found this video useful, and I hope you do not have to deal with any situations like what we just dealt with. See you guys later.
Bye.
Oh, God! Oh, God!